Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster, here to bring you some more Pokemon Go GBL battles. These battles are played in Masters Classic because we only have Master League and Masters Classic right now. There is no accompanying Little Cup or anything to escape it, so I have to play Masters. So I am. Happy New Year, by the way. Welcome to 2022. Hopefully this is going to be a pretty good year. Best thing that happened to me in 2021 was that I started streaming and making YouTube content. My channel is not quite a year old yet, but it's getting there. Getting pretty old. Anyway, I am running my classic Master League team of Snorlax in the lead with Kyogre and Dialga in the back. This is the same team that I have run since Season 1. I first made it onto the leaderboard with this team, first made it to rank 10 with this team. I explained all that in a past video where I played this team in Season 8, but a couple of things are different since the last time I covered it. Namely, Zacian is a thing, and a very popular thing, and Zarude exists, although it's not that common. You do see it, and also I guess Meloetta exists, although I don't think I encountered one in these sets. These are just some of my first battles from the year, aside from the ones that I played live on Twitch right after midnight. You can check that out at twitch.tv/Ferrikster. Or not, you can just watch these games. That's fine too. Ran the same team. I guess it's not the only team that I ever play in Open Master League. It's just the one that I'm the most comfortable with and the most comfortable explaining how to use. So let's hop into these games. So I play this Dialga lead a little bit differently than I normally do, which is that I threw a superpower and then switched out to catch an Iron Head on Kyogre, which is like a super weird thing to do. That is not normally how I play out that matchup. I usually just stay in with Snorlax, double superpower, and let myself go down if they shielded, and I don't shield anything from them. But play this out differently, and switching it to Kyogre ended up baiting out a Giratina, which is great. Sort of. I mean, Giratina has a very strong matchup against Kyogre and not really a great matchup against either of the other two things, but the decent thing about getting it out there is that now I get to bring in Snorlax and load up on energy pretty safely. They're going to unload some of their energy in this Shadow Ball, and because they empty themselves out, I'm going to switch out into Dialga. It's going to prompt their own Dialga to come back out. My gosh, heating system, what are you doing? You guys hear that? My gosh, these old steam radiators are so New York. All right, so I'm going to throw my Iron Head against this Dialga before it's able to throw another one of its moves, and because I didn't want to end up that low, and turned out to be fine. There's a Mewtwo in the back, which, because I have a shield, I'm going to use it here because my Dragon Breath, even though Lick is super effective, Dragon Breath still does more damage. It's just, it's got Stab from Dialga, and Dialga has a monstrous attack stat. Since I got that shield, I'm going to switch out into my Snorlax at this point. Throw this Body Slam. I was spamming out another Body Slam. They ended up catching it on their Giratina, but that is fine for me. The Jira is low enough that I'm able to just lick down. I wouldn't even die to an Ominous Wind. They would actually have to Shadow Ball to KO me there. And yeah, I'm just going to throw this Body Slam, and I'm going to be able to lick this Mewtwo the rest of the way down. Yeah, take them out. I played that up kind of weirdly compared to how I normally do, but I guess it was a good thing I did because Snorlax was pretty strong against both of their backline Pokemon. All right, next up, Snorlax into Dialga. I think I'm going to play this one out normally. This Dialga is kind of small at 40-53. The Hundo Best Buddy is 40-90. And yeah, when you play Dialga, you do want it to be the thing on your team that's best buddied, because if it's not, then against a best buddy Dialga in the mirror, for a non-best buddy Dialga, it goes over terribly. The best buddy Dialga will reach a Dragon Breath break point and a Dragon Breath bulk point, so it just... Best buddy Dialga noticeably shuts down non-best buddy Dialga. If you have a Dialga on your team, no matter what the rest of your team is, Dialga should be the thing that you best buddy. And the minimum Dialga that you should be using is a 15-14-12. That's what they tell me. I'm using a 15-14-14, and I wouldn't use less than that because, 12 and, at 15-14-12, I think you lose another HP, another, point of HP. And, every point of HP matters. It's noticeable. You go down in one Dragon Breath faster, I think. Regardless, it wouldn't have really changed that much against this Zacian. Maybe if I had been a Thunder, I would have been able to reach the Iron Head, but I don't think it would have made enough of a difference for me to survive that. So I am going to shield my Kyogre, and it turns out there's a Giratina in the back, so yeah, maybe I should have spent my shield on Snorlax and sent Kyogre out instead of Snorlax in the first place. Like, Kyogre could have absorbed a close combat a lot easier. And even if Zacian had Wild Charge, it wouldn't have been enough to KO in one shot. They still would have had to throw two. Dialga's going to come back out, and yeah, I definitely played out this matchup kind of not ideally, I guess, also. And yeah, I got taken out, and that's a GG. So that was rough. All right. Maybe I should be playing this out wrong. Did better in that last game. All right, Snorlax into Giratina. So this is obviously the ideal lead. Snorlax is a total wall to Giratina. I see that like PvPoke is currently recommending Dragon Tail and Dragon Pulse on Giratina Origin, but I have not seen a single person running that. I think, like, as much as The Sims might recommend it for some reason, it definitely seems that Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, Ominous Wind, the straight Ghost set is still the prevalent, dare I say, only set in use right now. So, yeah, because Snorlax is such a wall to Giratina, I was pretty confident that if I shielded once, I'd be able to get the shield back. And so now the Zacian has forced its way into Switch Advantage, and I could have shielded and forced Switch Advantage also. But like, Snorlax and Dialga are both so strong against Giratina that there's really not even a need with this team to win swap if you can get Kyogre out. Obviously, if you end up having to use Dialga to counter their safe swap, then you do actually need to win Switch Advantage, which isn't really that difficult to do, surprisingly. Like, if with Giratina in the lead, it's either maintain Switch Advantage or use Kyogre, and then Switch Advantage doesn't even really matter that much. So Jira's going to come back out. Since now I know that the other Pokemon is Lugia, I can just shield this. This will be the Shadow Ball. I wanted to throw my Iron Head right away because I didn't want them to be able to throw an Ominous Wind first. Just in case they got the boost or something, wanted to leave them pretty low. And once I had done that, they were low enough that there was no reason to throw Ominous Wind. Makes more sense to just throw Shadow Ball. That was kind of their win condition. I ended up shielding it. And at this point, I'm going to be able to get out this Iron Head. Wouldn't quite have been able to reach the other move. And Snorlax would survive an Aeroblast from here. So this Lugia just does not have enough health or energy to take out these two Pokemon. And that is GG. Alright, next up against Neo JB 92. Snorlax into Kyogre. So this is a really classic feeling matchup for me. Kyogre used to be a super common lead. Used to encounter it all the time. And the way I like to play this out with Snorlax is just spamming out my body slams, trying to throw them at random times, and just being careful not to let them sneak in a waterfall. Denying the waterfall damage is actually pretty helpful. They end up switching out into Dialga, so I'm going to build up to try to get to double superpower, and it looks like I'm going to come up just shy, so I'm just going to throw the one superpower and then switch out to Dialga. They let it go, so that is fine for me. I'm going to be able to Dragon Breath this Dialga the whole way down. I think they maybe could have reached a Draco Meteor, or maybe were there. Not sure why they threw an Iron Head. Like, I feel like they should have been at the Draco already. And Lugia is going to come out into Dialga, which is fine. I'm going to build up to the Draco and then throw the Iron Head. My opponent still has 2 shields, so very likely to get a shield there. And I'm getting pretty close to the Draco, so I figured I'll just throw the Iron Head here, and, you know, they'll probably think it could be a Draco again, and they ended up not shielding that. Letting the Iron Head go, it really does not do that much damage, but I have done significant damage enough. Sky Attack is going to land, not going to quite take me out, and they're going to Dragon Tail me the rest of the way down. So my Snorlax is pretty low, and I might not survive a Dragon Tail, so I'm going to set out Kyogre instead. Sneak in a Waterfall, and that always is helpful. I am going to shield this because it could be an Aeroblast, and it is, so fantastic for me. And then they're going to switch out to their own Kyogre. I am just going to spam out these Surfs. I don't really have a better move to be throwing against the Kyogre anyway. I don't get a shield, and obviously, like, one of the ways I can lose this is by taking a Thunder. So I'm going to throw this Surf. I get a shield. So they clearly wanted to be able to throw whatever this is. So it probably is the Thunder, and it is. Snorlax comes out, licks the rest of the way down, and I can spam out this Body Slam, and that is going to be enough to take out Lugia. I needed to throw that Surf to force that shield, because otherwise I would have, gotten shielded there and would have gone down. So, yeah, really close game. I only won CMP with my Kyogre out of pure luck using the Hundo, and so were they. Pretty close. A lot of pretty close games, but I do manage a 4 out of 5. I get a Skuntank, which is fine, I guess. Like, the legendary right now is Kyurem, and they tell me that in the future there is another form of Kyurem that will be good. I mean, obviously, whether it gets a good moveset or not will dictate that, but yeah. No reason not to build up that XL candy, so would have been preferable to a Skuntank, but I will take whatever the game will give me. All right, Zacian in the lead. So, Zacian hits a lot of things pretty hard. It has very good coverage because it can have a couple of different viable movesets. Close combat is pretty much mandatory, and the secondary move could either be Wild Charge or Play Rough. I have seen both. They no-shield that Body Slam. There's a visual glitch because they were insta-switching out to Dialga, but the Body Slam did land, and it did do some decent damage because they were already debuffed from the close combat. So I get a shield off of this Dialga with my superpower, and that is fine. I'm going to switch out into my own Dialga, throw this Iron Head, and I'm going to be able to Dragon Breath the rest of the way down. I don't think they could be at a Draco yet, so I am going to let the Iron Head go. And yeah, I'm going to be able to Dragon Breath the rest of the way down. I'm able to take them out because they had taken the lick damage from Snorlax. I think maybe I could have reached this Iron Head, but I lagged terribly. I don't know what the fuck that is. So I end up getting completely farmed down. And now this Zacian has a lot of energy, and they still have a shield. And I'm going to take this close combat, and Snorlax goes down. Kyogre's going to come out. I sting in a Waterfall, which is nice, but I mean, I'm going to have to shield this, and it is a Wild Charge, so perfect moveset for the situation, and there is a Giratina in the back. So, yeah. My Snorlax was probably too low to take out this Gira by itself anyway. I'm going to shield this Shadow Ball. And realistically, I should have just thrown the Blizzard, because if I throw Surf here, like, there's no reason for them not to shield, but even if they didn't shield, the Surf wouldn't have done enough that I can... It's not like I could get to a Blizzard after Surf baiting. So really, I just, my only win condition would have been throwing the Blizzard and getting it through. I thought maybe because I had snuck in a one Waterfall that they had transferred, that would have been different, but it's still not enough. Like, I would have had to sneak an extra move or something. My opponent would have had to lag. Should have just thrown the Blizzard. But again, like, if my Dialga didn't lag and had actually gotten to the Iron Head, which I'm not positive would have happened, but, could have, then that would have been enough to flip the game. But, yeah, the way I played that out at the very end there with Kyogre into Giratina made no sense, even though it made no sense for them not to shield. So, Ho-Oh in the lead. They actually baited Earthquake. I mean, I don't shield the first move, and usually it's a Brave Bird. My next Body Slam is going to land, and they're going to switch out to Dialga, which seems to be a pretty common thing to safe swap into Snorlax, but I'm going to land the Superpower and then immediately switch out to my own Dialga. Since I got the Superpower off really early, I'm able to Dragon Breath them down just as they're getting to their Iron Head. If they had been able to throw that, wouldn't have shielded it anyway, and my opponent is just going to resign the game. So that is a GG. All right. So next up, again, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Snorlax into Giratina. So dominating matchup for Snorlax. If I can maintain alignment, that is really all I need to do. They send out a Ho-Oh. So I'm just going to send in my Kyogre. And yeah, I'm not going to shield the Brave Bird here. It does a lot, but it's not like it's anywhere near enough, and they're not even close to reaching their next Brave Bird. It takes 3 Incinerates and then 3 more to reach the next one. So at this point, I'm expecting Giratina to come back out, and I am just going to unload this Blizzard. I mean, they could shield this, but, like, what would you do with the Giratina? Like, it would be aligned with Snorlax. There's almost no point. So they're just going to let it go and come out with a double-shielded Sylveon, saving their double-shielded Charmer for the end. And, like, if you're going to run a Charmer in Master League, I really think it should be Togekiss. Like, Sylveon is just... It just doesn't have the CP. The charms do less to Snorlax than Togekiss's charms. It's like you can see just looking at it. I'm going to shield this Moonblast. They don't get the debuff. I'm just going to spam out Body Slams. And, like, double shielded Charmer is supposed to be, like, you know, a very strong strategy. It works really well in, like, Great League and stuff. But in Masters, where there is so much bulk, if it's going to be like, if it's going to be Sylveon, it's just not enough. Like, Snorlax can easily survive this up to getting, like, you know, his fifth Body Slam. Sylveon just cannot. Yeah. I don't recommend, if you're going to run a Charmer, I recommend Togekiss. That's all I was really getting at. Like, yes, you're weak to rocks, but the charms are much stronger. Togekiss into Snorlax. Togekiss in the lead. So the charms from Togekiss actually hurt. I am going to throw this Body Slam. This matchup is actually very like fast move, denial versus sneak in oriented. They switch into Garchomp, and I send in my Kyogre. So Togekiss is kind of a neutral matchup with Snorlax. So because they're switching out to Garchomp, it looks like it might be an ABB team. Like, normally when someone sends out a Garchomp, I think the thing you're supposed to do is send out Dialga to Dragon Breath it down actually quickly. With Kyogre, it's fine. I have to shield one of the Sand Tombs. Like, if I didn't shield the first one, I would have had to shield the second one. So, you know, because it could have, I think they could have reached a different move. I ended up shielding the first one. The second one could only have been the Sand Tomb. Regardless, I was expecting them to come out with Togekiss and farm me down. They actually came out with Giratina instead. So yeah, this was a Togekiss Double Dragon team that they were trying to get to bait out the Dialga, and I actually sent out Kyogre, which was the wrong thing to send out. So now I'm left with a Dialga left over in the back. I'm gonna switch out anyway, just because Snorlax is such a wall to the Giratina. So, yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna, I maybe could have Dragon Breath the rest of the way down, but, like, it was looking like maybe I wouldn't, so I just throw the Iron Head there. And Giratina comes out. I critically get in some of the Dragon Breaths of damage that I needed. And now at this point, they have 2 shields, and, like, some energy, but, like, Snorlax, it's such a wall to Giratina. My opponent and I played this matchup so weird and awkward. So the only win condition for Giratina, right, at this point would have been to throw an Ominous Wind and get the boost, and for me to have shielded it. So all I needed to do was not shield the first moves, and I can just lick the whole way down, and that's a GG. But yeah, we both played that out kind of weird. All right. So next up against DT on AZ. Snorlax into Zacian. So, saw this matchup before. I am just going to lick a bunch. After 7 Snarls, they're at back-to-back. So, sometimes they'll throw at 7, sometimes they'll build up an 8th and then start throwing something. I like to try to end up CMPing. I figured maybe they would just throw back-to-back and that I would lose CMP, but they actually waited for me to throw this first Body Slam. Ended up shielding anyway. So I'm going to shield this and then try to get my next Body Slam out if they don't switch out. They switch out to a Landorus, which is fine. I'm going to send out Kyogre. And I am not going to shield. It is a Stone Edge. I could have thrown my Surf to force a shield or take them out, but I thought I would be able to Waterfall them down, and apparently I can't. So I'm going to end up eating a Superpower and going down. Landorus, a Kyogre counter confirmed, and I'm going to bring Snorlax back out, lick the rest of the way down, and that's fine. And now I have Snorlax with some energy, and Dialga is useful against both of the things that are left over, so it's actually fine. So I am going to throw this superpower, which would hit for super effective. Zacian is going to come back out, and I had insta-swapped to my Dialga. The Zacian is empty, or switched in when it was empty. So if I just shield this close combat, I'll be able to get to my Iron Head, no problem. Spam this out. Take out the Zacian, and yeah, I'm in pretty good shape now. So Zarude is pretty new, and not a lot of people have it because you only have had one chance to get one, and you can't lucky trade them. So the IVs that you get with your one, that's the Zarude that you're stuck with. So it's crazy to me that some people have probably gotten good ones. I actually don't know what the hundo is. For all I know, this one is good or terrible. I have no idea. But it hasn't seemed to make any difference. Dialga will go down in 2 Dark Pulses, so it seems, and I am just going to bring Snorlax out and Body Slam. Managed to take that game. That's GG. Yeah, if they had thrown their Dark Pulse earlier, they would have survived with a little more health, but I would have just been able to reach a superpower no problem, and a Body Slam would have done plenty once they were that low. So I get a Frillish, which is fine. I still don't have enough XL candy for an Ultra League Frillish. I just don't do enough trades. Like right now, every trade that you do gets you an XL candy, and I didn't have enough Frillishes in stock, and haven't been good about trading them. All right, Zacian in the lead. Zacian is a very common lead. As you're seeing, it's very common in the back. It's very common as a safe swap. Zacian is very popular right now. I don't have one that's good enough for me to want to build. My best one is a 93, and I think I have like no candy for it. So I could swear that was a CMP tie, but they actually had, I guess it was a desync CMP tie. They caught on their Ho-Oh. I'm trying to switch out to Kyogre at 3, and like the game is lagging so much there. I switch on into Kyogre, and they had gotten 2 free Incinerates in, so this is an Earthquake. And I thought at least that they would be 3 away from their next, because, you know, if you throw an Earthquake, you're not supposed to be able to reach a Brave Bird after 2, unless you were at 100 energy. So, yeah. Yeah. So if they hadn't gotten in 2 free Incinerates, even if I had not shielded anything and let it go down, I would have been able to just lick the whole way down, because the 2 extra waterfalls, 3 extra waterfalls I would have gotten in would have either flipped the matchup so I'd have the alignment that I want, or some other thing. This is still okay. I mean, I have a Snorlax with 100 energy. Zacian's going to come out. They throw their close combat, and now my Body Slam is going to go through. This time they're not able to get out of it. So this is going to land. I get a shield. They switch out into Dialga. I'm going to spam out my superpower as soon as I can, because if I get the superpower out quickly enough and it lands, then I can switch into my own Dialga and Dragon Breath down before they can get to more than an Iron Head, which I will survive. And taking this Iron Head changes nothing, because I will get one-shotted by Zacian's close combat regardless. So I'm just going to throw this Iron Head. And I get the last shield off of the Zacian, and yeah, they will have to debuff themselves to take me out. And if I could reach the Iron Head, that would KO them, so they have to throw this close combat as soon as they've got it, which is here, and now they are just 3 away from getting to their next thing. So I get to the Body Slam and lose CMP. So, yeah, if I had gotten that Body Slam, they were already debuffed, it would have KO'd. This was an incredibly close game already. But yeah, if my swap into Kyogre had gone through before 2 free Incinerates went through, yeah, I might have won that. Pretty confident I would have won that game. But yeah, sometimes that is just going to happen. All right. So, Togekiss in the lead. I am just going to spam out my Body Slams, being very careful to try to not let free charms in. I let, like, I guess 2/3 of a free charm in there. If I can deny all of the charms just fine, then I can easily win this matchup if they throw an Ancient Power. They do throw the Ancient Power, and I'm just barely not able to lick down. Again, if you're able to fast move deny, then you can actually beat the Togekiss in the zeros if they throw the Ancient Power. If they throw Flamethrower, obviously you get taken out. Not sure why some of them don't. But yeah, because I let too many free turns of Charm in, wasn't quite able to get that. But this is fine. There was a Giratina in the back, and that is all right because my Dialga can handle that just fine. They switch into their own Dialga, which is better for me because if they had just saved that in the back for Kyogre, I might have been in a worse spot. I'm going to switch out and try to catch an Iron Head, and I actually do catch this resisted Iron Head on Kyogre, so that is fantastic for me. And I had gotten in a most of a free Surf, or a free Waterfall, so I'm just going to spam out this Surf. I need to do this damage. And if they wanted to throw an Iron Head here, I think maybe they... I'm not sure actually if they actually reached it. Giratina's going to come back out and try to farm me the whole way down, and they are going to be able to do it. I don't even need to do that much damage, though. I just need to get these Surfs out and do some kind of damage so that they're in Dragon Breath range. I get in a Dragon Breath before they throw, and because that happens, I'm going to shield this. Like, they have enough to get to an Ominous Wind. And if I hadn't snuck in that Dragon Breath there when on the swap-in, like if they had denied the Dragon Breath, then I would have had to call that bait correctly because they would have been able to reach the Shadow Ball afterward. Yeah, would have survived the Ominous Wind either way, but yeah, if they had gone straight Shadow Ball in the beginning or baited the Ominous Wind and I hadn't snuck in, they would have been able to reach the Shadow Ball and would have been able to take that game. So that was a really close matchup also. Dialga in the lead, and this one switches out into a Mewtwo to try to catch a superpower, which is Brave. It wasn't actually throwing the superpower there, so fantastic for me. I'm going to be able to unload all of this Body Slam, all of this energy in the form of Body Slams against this Mewtwo. And I reach another Body Slam, which I could throw. I could also, I guess, shield this, but the Psy Strike won't quite take me out, and I was trying to lick the rest of the way down. I ended up not quite making it. I'm going to shield this Psy Strike. Probably should have just thrown my Body Slam before that happened. And now I'm just spamming out Superpower, assuming Dialga will come back out because, you know, they're probably not going to want to reveal their entire team, but they do. And it is a Groudon. So, yeah, this is fine. They are going to Mudshot me down. Yeah, Mudshot Groudon. They're going to switch out into Dialga, but I have the alignment that I need for having spent that shield. So this Dialga already had quite a bit of energy from the Snorlax matchup, so I'm going to shield this because I know it could be a Draco. It turned out to be the Iron Head. I'm going to reach my own Iron Head, throw this here. They could throw an Iron Head and take me out, but I'm guessing they don't want to do that because they would have to throw an Earthquake to take me out with Dialga, and Dialga would do a lot of damage to Groudon in the process. So they're going to throw their Draco, which drops their attack tremendously, which is what I actually need to not take too much damage. I am not quite in Earthquake down range yet with all of these mud shots that are coming through. But I am getting really, really close. It goes down to like just a little. I'm able to survive 2 mud shots, throw this Surf, and now that I'm at back-to-back, I'm going to get that last shield and then spam out this next Surf. They sneak in a mud shot, but it is not going to register because the Surf is going to go through. Managed to take out the Groudon. That is a GG. My gosh, that was a really, really close match. Yeah. Like, all of these matches that are really close, by the way, if the game lags, I lose those. Like, you know, game stability. It's pretty important. Alright, so, Snorlax into Dialga. We have seen this matchup a bunch of times because Dialga is still, you know, on into Season 10, probably one of the most popular leads. So, building up to double Superpower, I'm just going to throw that. I do occasionally bait the Body Slam, especially because pretty much all the Dialgas have been shielding. But, like, you know, baiting the Body Slam doesn't help me reach a third move. I would have to bait 2 Body Slams to then reach a third Superpower. Like, even then, it's like, it barely happens. You basically have to deny Dragon Breaths to get it. So I'm going to shield what could be the Draco, and it is. Doesn't make sense to throw anything else. If they throw an Iron Head, they have so little health, it'd be hard to reach another Iron Head against anything. Unless I had a Mewtwo or something. So this Mewtwo is going to let the Iron Head through, which is fine for me. I'm going to shield this because it could be a Focus Blast. Turns out to be a Psy Strike, and they just barely go down before they're able to reach another Psy Strike. Giratina is going to come out, so yeah, definitely glad I have retained as much as I could on my Dialga. I'm going to spam out this Iron Head as soon as I can. And it's 7 Shadow Claws even to the Shadow Ball. Yeah, and I'm going to switch out on their 8th to catch a Shadow Ball on my Kyogre. Probably should have just switched out right away at 7, just in case they threw right away, because if I had been left with just a Kyogre here, it would have been a pretty dangerous situation. Gonna land that Surf, and able to take out this Giratina. There's still a Dialga in the back with, like, very little HP, but it's just not enough. I'm able to take that game. That's GG. Alright, next up against Exoraz. Snorlax into Dialga, the most popular lead, I think. At least that's the way it seems. So I have had thoughts about the way I play out this matchup. If I'm planning to stay in, it would kind of make sense to throw a superpower earlier, like before the Iron Head, because then I can reach double superpower and have had less farm because the Iron Head would have done more damage. They actually no-shield the first superpower there, so it's a good thing I did not bait, and now I'm just going to spam out my next superpower. The Body Slam would actually just barely not KO. And yeah, they're going to be able to Dragon Breath me the rest of the way down. So I'm going to send out my own Dialga, and they go down before they're able to reach a move. I feel like they could have maybe thrown an Iron Head there, but maybe they were trying to go to the Draco. Maybe they were almost there. Regardless, they go down without throwing anything, and a Groudon is going to come out. So, I mean, having alignment would have been nice, having Kyogre against this Groudon, but this is fine too. I am going to shield what could be an Earthquake. Turns out to be a Fire Punch bait, but because they let the Iron Head through, they're not going to be able to reach a second Earthquake. So this can only be a Fire Punch. Going to let that go through. Hits for neutral. Does that much. I don't have a ton of health left, but it is more than enough to avoid being farmed down by a Mewtwo. Even a Shadow Mewtwo. Throwing these Psycho Cuts. Psycho Cut just doesn't really have a lot of damage output. They are going to try to farm me down anyway, but I'm going to be able to reach this Iron Head. I don't even need to use my Kyogre in this matchup. Able to take out this Mewtwo and take that game. That is GG. And I think that was the last match of that set. Yeah, that is another 4 out of 5. I think that is 12 out of 15 is a pretty decent run with this team, especially when you consider that 2 of those matchups were possibly flipped by me lagging. Yeah, game stability is definitely the meta. Yeah, if you can play with your game being stable, it's quite good. It is stable game is pretty strong. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Happy New Year again. Yeah, don't forget to do those things that you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know what you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. Please do the things. It helps me out a bunch, and I will see you guys on the next one.